Hello and welcome to another E4 Clicks Project Estimator Training video. Today we are going to look at custom line items. So we're going to look at how to create a custom line item from a pricing guide. We're going to look at how to create a custom line item completely from scratch. Then we're going to look at some of the different reports that treat custom line items differently. And then we're going to peek at the user preferences that kind of affect custom items. We are going to start from the Line Items tab of the Updating Estimate window. Okay? A lot of the stuff we're going to do in here today, we're going to assume you've watched some of the other videos and kind of know some of the different things. So if you want a little more detail on things, definitely jump into some of those other videos to check those out. First we're going to do creating a custom item from a guide. Which guides can we create a custom item from? Any of them. Okay? So if we have our list of pricing guides, be them RS means, IDIQs, even the alternate guide, which you own and create and run yourself, you can create a custom item from any item that you find in there. So let's jump into one and let's figure it out. So I'm going to hit the Insert key to open up our default guide, Control I to open up our index. Let's go look for chiller water, okay? So I'm jumping to 23 on purpose because I'm going to show you a couple things when we fast forward down to the estimate report section. But let's grab one here from 23, and let's say that we need to do a 200-ton chiller. Okay, whether they exist or not or whatever, this is just kind of to go through the process of the custom item. One cool thing about custom items is the different end items, the items that have money in some of these pricing guides, there's a checkbox to the left of them, and then there's a lot of header items. The cool thing about a custom item is you can create a custom off of any item. They don't have to be an end line item. Okay? But what happens sometimes is you can find an item close to what you're looking for in a guide, but you need to tweak it out a little bit. So let's kind of go through that process. If we right-click, our third option down there is to create a custom item. We also have a toolbar icon up here, create custom line item right there. Clicking on either one of these will open up the Update Line Item Details window. And we've got an idea from previous videos that this opens up all this information that we can play with. It's going to show us that it's a custom line item and then kind of what it's based on, but it's going to let us tweak some stuff out. So let's just fiddle around a little bit. Again, I'm not worried about the actual details of this, but the process, okay? So let's go in here. Let's change that to 200. And then let's change the material. Say the labor is still cool. Well, let's tweak them both. Why not, right? So let's move the material up to 150, and let's move the labor up, 18.9. So what we've done is basically tweaked out the material and labor for putting in this water chiller. Now, if we wanted to, we could also play with the crew code here. If we wanted to reselect the crew, we could change our labor output and hours. We could change any of the different stuff that we wanted in here. One of the things that we remember is to check out some of our settings to make sure we're good. If we're in a contractual type contract where we have to look at the unit price book, for example, we may need to switch this over to be non-price. And we could check out any of this other kind of stuff. All right, so we'll do 9-price there. We could put a note in here that this was from XYZ vendor and whatever other information we wanted to do to have. Okay, and then we could pop in a value in there. We're going to buy one of those and install it, and we can click OK. We can be done with the book here, and we're returned to our estimate, to the Line Items tab, and we can see that we've got our new water chiller here in Division 23. Remember, we can click on the Custom tab over here to see all of our customs, or some of our other filter buttons to see where those line items, which pricing guides they've come from. Okay, so that was creating a line item from a pricing guide. Pretty cool? Now, let's check out how to create one from scratch. We don't even need to open a guide at this point. We're on the Line Items tab of the Updating Estimate window. We can simply right-click, and instead of using our Open Items either open the default or select guide to open. We're not looking to change or delete. We're actually looking for the fifth option down here, which is insert custom line item. Okay? Now, we have the toolbar icon as well for that one. And either way we do that, this opens up the update line item details window again. This time, nothing is pre-populated. Everything is empty. So let's go ahead and put some stuff in. Do you notice that anything's yellow here, right? We've got some yellow fields. These mean that these are required fields that we need to fill in order to click OK and save this, okay? So these fields are required. Now, we chose a line item from Division 3 on purpose last time. This time, I'm going to put it the item number, something that won't fall in the 0 to 49 divisions, okay? I'm going to go outside of CSI, and I'm just going to call this custom, okay? Get real creative on there for you, okay? And then we're going to do custom widget, which means absolutely nothing, of course, but we can do that. Again, we can look at all of our different settings up here, look at our settings here. MF95 versus 04, this is a key one for looking at which totaling components we use. Almost always you're going to be MF04. Again, we could decide if it was priced or non-priced, and any of these other settings we can mess with. But let's go ahead and let's do a unit of measure. When we click in there, we notice that we get the pull down arrow, so we can choose something that we want. Let's go here and grab each. Again, let's do 20 widgets this time. We definitely need 20 widgets. So let's do a material price of 3, labor of 2, equipment of 1. If we put information in the ML&E, we'll notice that the total field grays out, so we can't touch it. If, however, we decide not to put material, labor, and division and equipment in there, we can actually touch this total field and put something in there. Okay? So if we force it, then it'll add those up. Hopefully that makes sense to you a little bit. We could put in that this was whoops, hit the wrong button there, sorry. ABC vendor for this widget, and we're good. Does that kind of make sense? So we got to put in the yellow fields. We can tweak out any of this information that we want to. If it's not required, we obviously don't have to work with it, and there we go. All right, so those were the two ways to add custom items. Open up a guide and tweak something out, or create it totally from scratch. Now, let's check out some report options, shall we? We need to get to the Estimates tab of the Updating Project window. Right now, we're in the Line Items tab of the Updating Estimates. We need to click OK, because what do we print? If we remember from our reports video there, we print estimates. So we'll come over here. We're going to tag finishes here, and let's come down to reports and print estimates. So there are several estimates that key in on items that are not from a pricing guide. So those that are not tied into a contract. Okay? So some of those are preliminary estimate, estimate budget details, estimate details, and final estimate. So each of these will separate out any item that's been altered from the guide and put it down into a separate section called alternates. Okay, and if we remember from our video for reporting, we can change the name of alternate if we'd like to. There's another report that doesn't care whether it's custom or not custom, and that's estimate list. And we'll look at a couple of these just to see how they kind of come out. So let's do the preliminary estimate first. We're going to go to Adobe, and we're going to click OK. And we could turn on or off our different options and kind of see more information about those. But let's blow this up here. And what we're going to see here is that we're going to have a division summary where we see where all the money is for our different divisions. So we can see our finishes there. We could see over here alternate, which is going to capture all those things that were altered from the guide. So even though we had something from 23, it's going to put it here in alternate because it's not directly out of 23. Then we get our totaling components, our price non-priced ratio, and then when we get into our line items, it's going to go through the finishes here. All these are from 09, and then it's going to show us our alternates. So we had one here from our previous video, and then we added the 23 here, and then we have the custom. So all of these are basically not from RS means, but they were customized in one sense or another. We can see the book here, and we see the total for the alternates. Okay, so hopefully that kind of makes sense. Now let's swing back over and let's run that estimate list report, because that one's going to be a little bit different, right? Well, we hope so, right? So again, we can switch over to the estimate list here and look at our different options. One I like here is print division headers and footers. We'll go to Adobe again, and let's click OK. This time, it does not care if the line item was altered from RS means or the pricing guide or not. It just cares what the first two numbers are. So here, we're going to see our finishes total went up. We're going to see on the next page that that 09 custom came in here and is now getting captured in the 09. And here's 23 is getting that whole item that we chose there. And we've gotten rid of our alternate division here, and now it just says other. And this is going to be $120. This is going to be our widget, because it did not start with 01 through 48, right? The new 50 divisions. And then we have totaling components, MLE breakdown, and there's no price non-priced here because this report doesn't care if it was priced or non-priced. So if you're not doing something that's contractually tied to a unit price book, you could use estimate list, and it might be much nicer for you because it's going to capture it by the division, not whether it was from the pricing guide or not. And that's evident here on that back page where we went from 3 items in finishes. Now we've got 4, even our custom one. And then we've got 23, even though that was custom. And then our other, because this didn't start with a 01 or a 48 or anything in between, we capture it as other because the line item number is custom. And instead of showing you the book information, because it's not as key, we're going to go ahead and give you the full breakout. So the material, labor, and equipment breakout, so you can see exactly what's happening. All right, so hopefully that kind of makes sense. Kind of see the differences between running the different reports. As we alluded to back in the reports video, this kind of shows you how we present that information a little bit differently and how we care about it. So very nice options there for you when you run reports with custom items. Let me show you one more place where custom items where we can choose those user preferences. Okay, user preferences are pretty cool anyway, so you can come in here and look at stuff, look at these for other stuff as well. But if we go File, File Maintenance, and Program Configuration, File, File Maintenance, Program Configuration, this opens up the Program Configuration window. There's 3 main tabs here. We're going to key in on User Preferences. User Preferences has several sub-tabs down here. So there's some cool information here you may want to check out at some time. I'm going to roll over to the Defaults tab because that's where we're going to see that we can change a couple of settings. So creating custom line items. What can happen is when we create a custom line item, we can default this to always be priced or always be non-priced as the default for adding that. You can always change it as we changed it earlier in here. And we can also see that we can custom line items is added from scratch, not from another item. Okay, so the second thing that we did, that we can default these to either bare pricing or O&P pricing. Okay, so it'll only apply when we're doing it from scratch in that case. Otherwise, it'll inherit the parent properties for the first option. Okay, so there's a couple of custom item user preferences you can do, and then you can check out some of these other ones which are pretty sweet. Okay, all right. So we tackled quite a few things in this little video here, but hopefully that makes sense. So you can create customs a couple different ways, from your pricing guide or from scratch. Then, depending on your audience and maybe your contract that you're running this under, you may want to choose a different report, okay? And then a couple of user preferences you can play with. So hopefully that helps you out with custom line items. As always, check out any of our videos. Give a holler to our technical support team. Hopefully this makes sense. We hope you have a fantastic, fantastic day. Thank you so much.